Auto sales in the United States surged in December, capping off the best year for the industry since the financial crisis. Of the top three automakers, General Motors and Chrysler saw the biggest gains. Chrysler reported a 20% jump in sales, making it the best December in a decade and pushing it to its best annual total since 2006. General Motors sales rose 19% last month. Ford sales remained flat, slightly down less than 1%. Even so, Ford said it was its best December sales since 2005. Toyota and Nissan reported strong sales as well, with Honda seeing modest gains. December is traditionally a strong month for automakers. Low gas prices and interest rates combined with rising consumer confidence made for a more profitable end to 2014. Higher sales can't erase the problem of 2014, though, being a record year for recalls. General Motors recalled more than 26 million vehicles in 2014. A faulty ignition switch has been linked to at least 42 deaths. GM has already been fined $35 million by the U.S. government and remains under investigation. More than 17 million cars globally and more than 11 million here in the United States have been recalled for potentially defective airbags. Made by Japanese supplier Takata, some explode upon impact, releasing shrapnel. At least 6 people have been killed and more than a dozen injured. Overall, automakers hope preventing costly recalls will help boost their bottom line. So some impressive numbers for car makers as they begin touring the world, showing off their latest models. For more on this, I talked to Detroit-based journalist Doron Levin, who covers the auto industry, and I asked him which manufacturers were outperforming the most.
Well, I would have to say that among the three in Detroit, the best was Fiat Chrysler. And this is really a big story about Jeep and about Ram. All three automakers did very well. I think that the rising tide has really raised all the boats here in Detroit. But I must say that Fiat Chrysler was particularly impressive. And I think it's because of really that Jeep product, the fact that they've been able to bring out and diversify into other types of models and more models than they've ever been in before. And I think it's also kind of a testimony to the management skill and the leadership skill of Sergio Marchionne, who's a bit of a magician, if you will.
We've seen oil prices plunge around the world in recent months. How much has that affected consumer confidence in thinking that this is a good time to buy a car? Has that directly impacted the numbers that we're seeing?
Well, I think that in the case of oil prices and gasoline prices specifically, you're going to hear from analysts a lot, and particularly those who consumers tend to turn to who advise them not to really make short-term decisions based on short-term price swings in gasoline prices. In other words, if you're concerned about fuel efficiency and you think now because gas prices are low, you shouldn't be concerned about fuel efficiency, it's probably not a good idea, because gasoline prices as well as energy prices are pretty volatile. So whatever they are today, we can't really expect them to be that way a year from now. But I think that if they stay low for a longer period of time, for some period of time, I think we're going to see some change in model choice. One of the biggest areas in the U.S. Automotive market is pickup trucks. And pickup trucks, obviously, because they're large and heavy, are less fuel efficient. And in recent years, I think you saw that there were certain segments of the buying population who went to smaller trucks or went to cars altogether, or held on to their old trucks because they didn't really want to spend the money for new trucks and they weren't sure they should make that kind of commitment. Gasoline prices being on the rise beyond $3 and $4, but now you may see people coming back to larger vehicles and SUVs based on those large pickup trucks.
Take us through some of the top-selling cars in China. It's become a top global market there. What do you make of it?
Well, in terms of the top-selling cars, I think the past is very much prologue. I think we see in the midsize family sedan market, as always, the Toyota Camry has been among the strongest, if not the strongest, family sedan. We see Honda Accord. We see Ford Fusion. The Chevrolet models, the sedan that they're really, I think, the proudest of and that's performed the best for them has been the Chevy Cruze. The Malibu, which is a larger size family sedan, has not really done as well, but the Cruze has really performed for General Motors.
2014 saw a lot of recalls, particularly with the Takata airbags issue. Do you think that adversely affected the auto industry at all?
I don't think that the number of recalls, specifically speaking about General Motors, because they really sort of led this subject, I think it's hurt General Motors marginally. But I think it's also true that everybody's had recalls, not as many as General Motors, but recalls have become something of a non-story. Their recalls are coming back, are happening for vehicles for very small defects and large defects, and they've sort of become, consumers I think are becoming inured to the whole notion of having to bring their car back. They get something in the mail, they bring it eventually to their dealer, the dealer fixes it, gives them a loaner, or does it in a fashion that makes it convenient for them, and it's not really a reason why perhaps you won't buy that same brand the next time. I think that recalls are becoming pretty much a standard operating technique for keeping control over quality and defects for all the manufacturers.